Welcome to the final topic in this unit, renting versus owning. So I can explain the advantages and disadvantages to both renting and owning my own home. So those are the two things I want to look at, and there's pros and cons. Okay, comparing renting versus owning. Is there a right answer? And the answer is it depends on the person. Okay, so let's talk about some of the pros and cons here. So actually I'm going to split this up a little bit further for rent, and we're going to look at pros and cons. On this side we'll do a couple pros and cons. Now we're not going to get into all of them. Okay. So when you're looking at it, what are the pros to renting? All right, you're mobile. Okay. You can move easily. All right, so you're not tied down. Okay, you don't have to worry about selling your apartment. Okay, so that falls under a con. Have to sell house if you want to move. All right. What else? A pro for renting. Okay. Maintenance. It's not your problem. If you have a leaky sink, leaky toilet, you get the landlord in. Okay. Cons. You must do your own maintenance. Okay. What else is a pro in terms of the apartment? Let's go look at the cons. Okay. Rent. Rent never returns, never comes back. So rent never is an investment. So what you're really doing when you're paying rent, you're paying someone else's mortgage is what you're doing. Because the pro to owning, your mortgage is like an investment. So what's happening, it's called home equity. As you pay off your mortgage, your house is becoming yours, and then when you go to sell it, you'll have that money back, and property values do increase over time. So it is like an investment. So your mortgage acts like an investment, whereas rent, that $300, $400 a month, you're never going to see it again, and it's never going to come back and help you out. Owning, another pro, freedom to renovate, redecorate. All right, if you want to paint the walls, okay, you can do that. You don't have to get permission. Cons, you're stuck with the apartment as is. Okay, so with the house, you can go ahead and you can do whatever you want to the house. You can renovate it, you can take out walls, you can put walls up. You don't have to go ask for permission, you just need the money. Whereas an apartment, you can't make any changes because the landlord needs to approve those changes before you can do anything like that. What are some other pros and cons here? When you are owning, you can control / have renters. So if you buy a large house or you want to have a roommate, you can bring someone in, okay? And so you just bring a roommate in. The cons, okay, subletting, and that's what it's called when you have a roommate come in, is difficult. Okay, some places allow it, but you got to sign your lease or contract. All right. Your lease for a con for an apartment, the lease comes due yearly. So your lease comes due each year, which means that your rent can increase and decrease yearly. A mortgage, I'm not sure where to put that in there. Mortgage, you are stuck with interest rates, which means that the amount it costs to borrow money changes or fluctuates. So stuck with interest rates. interest rates. So if interest rates go up, it couldn't affect your mortgage. However, the pro is you can sign a long-term mortgage, which means that your payments could stay the same for up to 10 years. I think you can go up to now, long-term mortgage. So that means your payments will be the same today as they will be 10 years from now. Just a couple pros and cons. There's obviously more out there. You're going to run into a couple as you go through the assignment, but those are just a quick rundown. Now, which is better? It really depends on who you are. If you are someone that needs to be mobile, okay, that needs to be able to move around easily, so your job might mean that you're in one city for a couple months, then you're going to another city, and so on and so forth, renting is probably a better option. Okay, if you're not handy or you don't have the time, so if you work long hours or you work funny hours, you may not want to worry about maintenance, so renting's a great thing. Okay? If you're looking for an investment and you are in the town and you're going to stay in this town, mortgage it's a great thing because you're gaining money. It's property, it's equity, and so on and so forth. If you buy and you are a handy person and you buy something you want to fix up, okay, that's ideal for you. So there's a whole bunch of pros and cons, and it comes down to who you are and what you want to do and what your goals are. So comparing the cost, let's talk about that for a quick second versus the two of them. Now, we talked about, so renting, obviously rent, first mortgage, so those are going to be a payment you make each month. The difference here, okay, it's lost money. For some people, that lost money, the freedom, is a lot more, is what they're paying for, versus the mortgage is kind of an investment. So if you're not in a position where you're ready for an investment, it doesn't necessarily work out that way. You both pay utilities. Utilities. Okay. So regardless where you are, you have to pay the utilities, and it's a toss-up. It really depends on the situation which utilities will cost less. It depends on the size of the house, so it's really a toss-up. I'd call that one a draw. Okay. What else? Maintenance. There is no maintenance when you're renting an apartment, so you'll have maintenance fees to deal with if you own a house. So if the furnace breaks, you need to fix the furnace. There might be homeowner association fees, HOA. So this is kind of a new thing that's emerging, especially with the condos out there. So homeowners association. A little bit more popular in the States, I think, but you will run into it. And homeowners association, that's a fee that you pay to the apartment building to maintain if there's pool, if there is laundry facilities, if there is a gym. It depends what's in your rental complex. Anything that everyone gets to use, you'll pay that. Now, does everyone have that? Definitely not. Probably in the smaller towns, there's probably no homeowners association. You probably look in the larger towns like Stratford or Toronto, where you may have access to a pool in the building. Okay, homeowner association with owning, much more popular in the States. So I'm going to put HOA. That's only for planned communities. Planned communities. So that means that they have all the facilities placed in there. And like I said, I can't think of one that's local, but I know if you go into the United States, they have tons of these planned communities where they have access to pools, gym facilities, parks, and so on, but it's only the people that live in that area. So I would say that this is more for the U.S. I don't think you'll run into that too often in rural regions here in Canada. What else is there in terms of the two? So you have your utilities, mortgage, utilities, maintenance fees. Those are your major ones that we can think about. When we look back at budget, when you're doing your budget, there wasn't a whole lot beyond that. One thing with owning, you do have to plan for your taxes, and you do have to pay or plan for your insurance. Okay, so homeowners insurance. So taxes will definitely be a lot higher when you own a house. So probably that's where your renters will win out. But you do have to have renters insurance. it will definitely be less than a house because you don't have to worry about the flooding. You're more worried about theft, if anything else, and loss due to fire and stuff like that. So definitely owning your own place, taxes and insurance will be much higher. Those are your major ones. You're going to run into unique situations here and there. Depends on the house that or the property that you're planning on owning, but that gives you a fairly good idea of what's involved on either side. There'll be other ones that other people are probably thinking of or wanting to ask in class. Definitely ask where they would fall in terms of being a good thing or a bad thing. But this gives you a general feel for the assignment. You're going to kind of run through it, answer some questions, and think about a couple of things that rise as you go. So anyhow, good luck with the final unit test.